Sa to programa karon, another video, another tutorial video na po ang ato, another discussion ang ato na po ihatag no para sa to mga kaestudyantihan, most especially sa ato mga Viscans no nga nag-take up sa mathematics in the modern world. So this discussion this afternoon is part of module 1 lesson 1.2. And I hope no nga naamoy makatunan, and later on before tama human sa discussion, huwat-huwato ninyo no ang ato ipanghatag nga premyo if you are able to answer our trivia question.
Listen to the music, sing it cheer, at the Science University.
Alright, so before ta magsugod sa to discussion, allow me to greet happy afternoon and happy listening also sa ako mga kaestudyantihan nga naminaw karon sa N345 and N104 nga section. So good afternoon to you all. Alright, so mga kadiwaydisi, our topic for this afternoon will be talking about mathematical language and symbols. Alright, so ubanan ko ninyo no until 5 in the afternoon. Alright, so ato na pagasugdan ng ato diskusyon. So of course, after our discussion, the students and all of you, no, namino karon, would be able to classify mathematical expressions and sentences. And of course, no, you should be able to translate mathematical phrases to symbols. So before that, let us consider the following sentences. Right, so I will be showing that on screen. So we have 5 sentences here, and these are actually languages now from the different countries, now from Korea, no, Korean, French, Spanish, Japanese, and Thai. Now the question here is, can this be translated into English? How about Cebuano? Right, so if you can see, so we have showed there 5 examples, and perhaps some of you already know how to speak these languages, right? So, but the question there is, can this be translated into English, and how about Cebuano? So these languages, yes, these languages can be translated into English and at the same time into Cebuano. But how to do that? You have to study it first, and how to translate these languages into language and into Cebuano. And the same is true no, in our discussion for this afternoon. We'll be learning on how to translate no, mathematical languages and symbols. So traveling to a place with a different language makes it hard to go around and communicate with people. A simple idea can be hard to interpret if presented in an unfamiliar language. So let's say, for example, if you are going to go to another country and you are not yet familiar of the language that they are using, then probably you will be experiencing culture shock, and you will not understand their language. Of course, now you cannot understand what the people are talking about. No, so the same is true in mathematics. If you are not familiar on this language, if you are not familiar on the usage and the meaning of these symbols and representations, then you might as well having a difficulty, be having a difficulty on answering these problems. So in the same manner, encountering mathematical problems may cause struggles not only on how to solve the problem, but as what I have mentioned a while ago, on the interpretation itself. This concern may be due to unfamiliarity to the language used, which is the language of mathematics, right? So language of mathematics is designed to express mathematical thoughts. right? So it consists of symbolic expressions written in a way that mathematicians traditionally write them. The language of mathematics is precise, right? The language of mathematics is precise, concise, and powerful. What does it mean? These attributes mean that the language of mathematics can make excellent distinctions, say things briefly, and express complex thoughts with relative cases.
I'm down and blue, my heart goes back to this place to start anew.
When I'm with you, I see color in everything they saw.
So say these examples. No, mathematical sentences are written in symbols, as what I've mentioned a while ago. So some common mathematical symbols that are being used, no, in your mathematics subjects or in other mathematics nga branches. So these are the most commonly used symbols. One of which is the Hindu-Arabic numerals. These are the representations, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So these symbols are called the Hindu-Arabic numerals. We have also the Roman numerals, like what we said that kanang capital I, duha ka I, no, and so on. The V, the M. What is the value of M? What is the value of X? What is the value of V? And so on. So these are also mathematical symbols. The symbols for the fundamental operations, no, for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So that's why we have the plus sign, the minus sign, that's the X, that's the multiplication, and then we have also the division. And in division, diba, sometimes we also use, aside from this symbol there that we have seen, no, on the screen. Aside from that symbol, we have sometimes we use the bar or the slash, or what they call this one, the slanting line, or unsa pa na siya, no, symbols that represent values. These are the what we term as variables, and these symbols are normally taken from the English alphabet, like find the value of X, find the value of Y, Z, W, sometimes A, B, C, right? And in some higher branches of mathematics or some areas of mathematics, they are not only using, no, English language or English alphabet, but they are also using or make use of the Greek letters, like the alpha, the beta, the sigma, and so on. All right, so these are also mathematical symbols, okay, that of course represent values. All right, and we have also there the other special symbols, the equal sign, the lesser than, the greater than, the equal or lesser than, the pi, okay, and these symbols represent, or this symbol also represent a value, right? The percent, and so on. Okay, so these are just some, no, of the most commonly used mathematical symbols that you have to, of course, no, to know or to learn. So what is the difference? Okay, so let's proceed now to our next topic, the difference between a mathematical expression and a mathematical sentence. Right? So mathematical language also is the same with the study in language or linguistics or in English, right? If English has its own rule or guidelines on organizing thoughts or creating sentences or expressions, then in mathematics, mathematics has also, since mathematics has its own language, right? So mathematical language, just like other languages, has its vocabulary or the words, no, na ato gigamit here. And of course, mathematics has its own rules for combining these words into a complete sentence, having a complete thought. Also, mathematics has nouns and sentences. The sentence of mathematics states complete mathematical thoughts, right? So, as what I've mentioned a while ago, that mathematics has also noun. Okay, and if you are going to combine these expressions, it will create a sentence. Of course, we know that a sentence is a combination, no, of expressions, okay, or words that has a complete thought or meaning, all right? So in English, nouns are words that name something. It could be a place, a person, or even an object, okay? So, or a thing. On the other hand, a sentence is a group of words that you put together, you combine using a connector, okay, that expresses a complete thought. So that is the rule or the definition, no, in English language. Now, in mathematics, an expression, okay, an expression is a mathematical equivalent of an English noun, right? So it represents a mathematical object of interest wherein the correct arrangement of mathematical symbols is a must. Okay, so you have to take note of that. It does not state a complete thought, and so it makes no sense to ask if an expression is true or false. Example, so we have here an example, no? So 9 plus 2. Now, if I am going to ask you 9 plus 2, if I'm going to ask you true or false, then it could make you, or it could give you confusion, right? Because 9 plus 2 is only an expression. And therefore, since it is only an expression, it cannot be answered by true or false. Right? X squared. It cannot be answered by true or false because it is only an expression. We have the elements, or the set consisting the elements of 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. All right? 2x plus 1. All right? And we have also this, the matrix, no? 1, 2, 0, negative 1. So these examples shown on the screen are what we term as mathematical expressions. All right? So your key, or your, what they call this one, your clue there is that when you say an expression, it cannot be answered by yes or no, and at the same time, it cannot be answered by a true or false. All right? So these are some of the examples. Okay?
When I'm far away, the memory.
Now, here are some of the examples, no, of types of expressions in mathematics commonly referred to as mathematical objects. All right? Kay, di ba, maingon ta ganiha, we have mentioned, no, lately, that English noun or expression is an equivalent of an English noun. So these are the mathematical objects: the numbers, the set, the functions, the ordered pairs, no, the matrices, and even vectors. All right? Now, a mathematical sentence, on the other hand, okay, so a mathematical sentence, on the other hand, is the analog of an English sentence. So it is a sentence, meaning it should express a complete thought or meaning, right? So since a sentence expresses a complete thought, it makes sense to ask if it is true or false. Okay, so examples. We have their examples. Let's check if these examples we have shown on the screen, if these examples can be answered or answerable by yes or no, or true or false.
I believe there is more.
First example there is 9 plus 2 equals 11. Is it true or false? You cannot say, you can say true, you can also say false. Depende kung if you believe that 9 plus 2 is not equal to 11, then you might say false. But if you know that the sum of 9 and 2 is 11, then you might say true. Therefore, this is an example of a mathematical sentence. Okay? So let's say, for example, if I'm going to ask you, is 9 plus 2 equals 11? Yes. Therefore, this example is a mathematical sentence. Another example there is x squared plus 2 equals 2x minus 1. Now, if you are going to directly answer my question, then you cannot say that it is true or false, because you have to find first the value of your x there as our variable. So using the mathematical methods, the process, solving the value of x, then you might say after that one, after the solution, you might say, yes, this one is a sentence. Okay? But you are not yet sure if this is true or false. You can say that it is true or false if you are going to solve the value for x. Then after that one, then you are now sure of your answer. Right? Another one is the 2, okay, 2, or you have there the matrix, okay, x equals 3, right? So this is also an example of a sentence. So what is meant, or what do you mean by if I'm going to tell you mathematical sentence, so unsa man di ay ni siya? So the mathematical sentence, for example, 9 plus 2 expresses a complete thought, Okay, so as what we have mentioned a while ago, right? Also, it will make sense to ask if it is true or false, right? So on the other hand, the expression 9 plus 2 does not express a complete thought, and it makes no sense asking if it is true or false.
When I'm with you, I see color in everything makes all as gray. When I'm with you, my tomorrow.
Alright, so that is an kanang examples na judging on our examples, we can actually differentiate no between an expression and a sentence. Okay, aside from basing it sa definition nato sa English language of a noun and a sentence, okay, an expression and a mathematical sentence, an expression cannot be answered or cannot be you cannot answer that one by a yes or no or a true or false. But on the other hand, no, the sentence can be answered by yes or no or true or false. Now let's proceed to synonyms and verbs. So these words or these terms, synonyms and verbs, are also used no in English language, the same as through in mathematics, right? So like in English, mathematics has a concept of synonyms, which refers to the words that are similar. Diba? When we say synonyms, they are most likely having the same meaning, right? So which refers to the words that are similar or have a related meaning. In mathematical language, this concept denotes the idea of the same object with different meanings. Example, so we have here examples, no? So we have 9. 9 there could also be expressed in terms of the sum of 4 and 5. Alright? So 9 and 4 plus 5 are synonyms. Because if you are going to add, no, 4 and 5 is just equal to 9. And so 9, another expression for 9 is 4 and 5 or 4 plus 5. 9 could also be expressed in terms of its division process, like 18 divided by 2. We know that if you are going to divide 18 by 2, it is equal to 9. So 9 has many expressions, but all of these are synonym or having similar meaning. So it could also express 9 in terms of the sum of the 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 and so on. So all of these expressions are synonyms because they have similar or have a related meaning. Okay? So these may look different, but all of these represent the same number. Okay? Moreover, just as English sentences have verbs, so mathematical sentences na apod or sa mathematics na apoy mathematical sentences. So for example, consider the mathematical sentence 9 plus 2 equals 11. Right? So we have there the equation 9 plus 2 equals 11. Reading the sentence as 9 plus 2 equal to 11 or equals 11 reveals that the verb is equal. All right? So what does it mean? Okay? Hence, the verb for the mathematical sentence 9 plus 2 equals 11 is the equal symbol. Okay? So kanang equal symbol, mao na siya ang verb sa mathematical sentence. Okay? And this is one of the most commonly used mathematical verbs. Notice that the given sentence uses the plus sign, or this is, in mathematics, this is the connector or the connective. Okay, so we have the operations. Most operations are the connectors or the connectives. So these are used to join objects of a given type to get a compound object of the same type. Okay, so ang equal di ay nga symbol or equal sign is the verb in mathematical sentence. No? As what is presented in our example. And the operations, the symbols, sa ato mga operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and other symbols, these represent the connectors or the connectives. Okay? Now, what are the other elements in mathematical language? So there are 4 there are four elements in mathematical language. The first one is the importance of truth. This is very important, no? Because the notion of truth or the essence of being true or false is of vital importance in the mathematical language. Now, how to determine if your sentence or statement is true or false? Now, let's say, for example, if you have an equation consisting of a variable, then you have a process, no, in determining the value of this variable for you to be able to answer whether the statement or the sentence is true or false. Right? So, the importance of truth in mathematical language is of that importance or important. Right? Number two, element is the convention, no? Or the standard, kumbaga. No, the association between the mathematical symbols is not considered a rule but instead a convention. Murabag standard na siya diha, given na siya diha. Right? Number three is the definition and undefined terms. Agreement on the meanings, because there are some words in mathematics having different meanings kung ato siya i-compare sa Webster Dictionary. Because most of the words, no, sa ato dictionary or even in English, naasay lain nga meaning, no, in mathematical language. All right? So it's very important that we have to define our terms. Okay? We have to define our terms in mathematics. That's why probably in research, no, in most research, they have also a part there that they have this operational terms, definition of terms, no, in research, because they have to define there what are the words being used in the research, because they might use no different use in different words, but the same words, but have different meaning. So that's why you have to define your terms. Okay? Agreement on the meanings of the certain words and phrases is essential for effective communication. The use of definitions is a primary way to avoid ambiguity. So that's why you have to define, okay? So we are using here, for example, difference. Okay? Difference in mathematics is defined as the operation or the process of subtraction. Right? So, for example, find the difference of 9 and 2. So, 9 minus 2. So, but the difference in English language could have a different meaning. So, you have to define how you use the word or the term. Okay? To avoid ambiguity. And the last one, the number 4, is simplicity and elegance. So, simple means fewer symbols, fewer operations, better suited to current use, and preferred style or format. The notion of elegance is often applied to mathematical proof. So that's why in mathematical proof, kasagaran ninyo makita diha are symbols. Dili ka kayo makakita og mga words, no, or mga letters. Those are symbols kasagaran. Okay?
I like an eagle in the sky when I look into your eyes.
The sunset's warm embrace gives
Alright, so next slide. We have there some difficulties in the mathematical language. So, mo ni ang kasagaran. Now, these are some of the difficulties experienced by students in dealing with mathematical language. Alright? So, number 1 there is that the word "and" in mathematics means differently from its English use. In mathematics, "and" is equivalent to plus. Alright? The different uses of a number are to express quantity or the cardinality, to indicate the order or ordinal, and as label or nominal. So later on, I guess this is part of module 3, no, data management, somewhat in statistics nga part. You will know more about this ordinal, nominal. So these are the levels, kumbaga. Okay, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. These are the levels of measurement. So you will know more about this in Module 3. And number 3, no, mathematical objects may be represented in many ways. For example, sets and functions. So there are a lot of ways, no, to represent mathematical objects. Right? And the last part is how we are going to translate phrases into mathematical symbols. So, translating expressions into symbols has been a challenge to many students. So, in this lesson, we show how to do this translation by giving sufficient examples. So, you have there, no, on screen. So, addition, for example, the keyword there, plus, more than, the sum of, the total of, increased by, added to. So these are the key word. If you are to encounter these words, then it means addition nga operation. Okay, example for that, a number plus 2. If you're going to translate that one into symbols, so that would be just, no, it does not mean that you are going to use always X. Now, in my example there, I'm just using X because I am already accustomed to that. But as what I have mentioned a while ago, you can actually use other letters in the English alphabet. You can use Y, Z, A, B, C, and so on as your variable. Okay, so you let X as the number, then plus 2. So plus sign, okay, and then you use the symbol 2, the Hindu-Arabic symbol 2. 8 more than a number, so that's X plus 8, and so on. Subtraction, no? So the keywords for subtraction are minus, less than, the difference of, less, decreased by, subtracted by. Example, a number minus 11. So you assign a letter to be your number. Then minus sign, and then 11. All right? For multiplication, we have there the keywords times, product of, twice, double, multiplied by, of, okay? And then you have their examples, and then how you are going to translate. For division, the quotient of, divided by, the ratio of, and so on. We have also for the powers or exponents, right? The square of, squared, the cube of, cube, and so on. So these are powers or exponents. Then equals. The equals is the same as yields and amounts to. So these are some of the examples how you're going to translate phrases into mathematical symbols. Okay? So we have here another examples, no? Sa ato kuan diha sa learning task nato, we have there examples no, on our learning task. So we have 10 no, items there. Classify the entries below as an English noun, mathematical expressions, English sentence, or mathematical sentence. So for number one there, 3 and -7, this is only a mathematical expression. Okay? Now, tagaan mo na kog hint. Makakita gani mong equal symbol, kana siya, sentence na siya. Okay? Students, English noun. The absolute value of 9 minus 5 equals 4. This is an example of a sentence. Why? Because you have there the verb, the equal sign. Alright? And this can be answered by true or false, or yes or no. Okay? And so on and so forth. So, for your task, you have to answer the remaining items. Alright? For the assessment part, you are going to translate the following phrases into mathematical symbols. So you have there examples. I have given you the first 3 as examples. Okay? So the square of the sum of the two numbers. So this time, I am using the letters A and B as my variables. Again, you can choose any letter in the English alphabet to be your variable. Okay? So A plus B quantity, then you square. Okay? Kaya siya nga symbol is a squared. And then the product of two numbers less than 5. So quantity, A times 5 minus 5. Kay less man. 4 more than thrice a number. You can have 3x plus 4 or 4 plus 3x. Now the question there, sir, pwede din at siya nga nabaliman? Yes, because addition is a commutative operation or commutative process. Meaning, pwede siya mabali. So 4 plus 3 is just the same as 3 plus 4. Right? So 4 plus 3 is equal to 7. 3 plus 4 is also equal to 7. So commutative siya. Addition and multiplication are commutative in process. Alright? So for the remaining items, that will be your assessment or task. Alright? So that would be all no, for our discussion today. Okay? So again, our discussion today is lesson 1.2, the mathematical language and symbols.